1620 through 1630, the Dutch take possession of the Connecticut River. Tribes of the river valley include the Mohegan, Nipmucks, Pecumtucks, and Pequots. The Dutch fortify their stolen land after they assault a tribe and hold their chief for ransom.
1637 to 1638. The Connecticut colony fights in the Pequot War. The war concludes with the 1638 Treaty of Hartford, which outlaws the Pequot language, seizes their native lands, disbands the tribe, and forces the survivors into slavery.
1650. Connecticut officially legalizes slavery.
1675 to 1678. As a part of the New England Confederation, the Connecticut colony fights in King Philip's War against native tribes, including the Nipmucks, Podunks, and Narragansetts. This war effectively eliminates these tribes from the area.
1717. New London decides in a town meeting to not allow free blacks to live in the area.
1780. Connecticut has the highest enslaved population of the states in New England.
1784. Connecticut passes the Gradual Emancipation Laws, which call for a slow end to slavery in the colony. Slavery persists legally another 60 years.
1787. Roger Sherman is Connecticut's representative at the Constitutional Convention. At the convention, Sherman argues for the slave trade to continue. He states, "The public good did not require an end to the trade." He goes on to use slavery as a bargaining chip for more political power.
1794. Eli Whitney, a Connecticut resident, receives a patent for his cotton gin. This invention increases Southern plantations' profitability significantly, perpetuating slavery for another 70 years.
1814. Connecticut legislature decides to include the word white in the Free Man Statute. African Americans Bias Stanley and William Lanson of New Haven file petition on this decision. The petition is denied.
1818. Article 6, Section 2 of the new Connecticut State Constitution states, "Every white male citizen of the United States who shall have gained settlement in the state, attained the age of 21 years, and resided in the town, shall be an elector."
1831. Free African Americans in Philadelphia wish to create a college in New Haven. After a town meeting, New Haven residents decide that they will, quote, resist the establishment of the proposed college by every lawful means.
1832. Prudence Crandall allows African-American girl Sarah Harris to attend the Canterbury Female Boarding School. The townspeople of Canterbury, Connecticut become furious over this decision, and the opposition is led by town clerk Andrew T. Judson. Judson, a lifelong member of the American Colonization Society, a group that advocated for African Americans to be sent back to Africa, states, "We are not merely opposed to the establishment of that school in Canterbury. We mean that shall not be such a school set up anywhere in our state. The colored people never can rise from their menial condition in our country. They ought not to be permitted to rise here. They are an inferior race of beings, and never can or ought to be recognized as the equals of the whites. Africa is the place for them. I am in favor of this colonization scheme. Let the N-words and their descendants be sent back to their fatherland."
1847. A statewide referendum on suffrage for African Americans fails to pass.
1848. Connecticut is the last state in New England to abolish slavery.
1855. Governor William T. Minor is elected, running on an openly anti-immigrant platform. His His inauguration day almost causes a massive, violent brawl between nativists and immigrants in Hartford.
1855. Connecticut is the first state to require a literacy test to vote.
1860. Former Connecticut Governor Thomas Seymour and namesake of the town of Seymour endorses slavery.
1915. The Birth of a Nation, a film that glorifies and endorses the KKK, plays to sold-out crowds in Hartford, Bridgeport, and other Connecticut cities for weeks.
1922. The Sharon, Connecticut Chamber of Commerce releases a pamphlet requesting that homeowners do not sell their homes to Jews.
1925, it is estimated there are 75,000 KKK members living in Connecticut. That is approximately 5% of the population, or 15% of the native-born whites in the state.
1931. Yale University names one of its undergraduate colleges after slavery advocate John C. Calhoun.
1937. The process of redlining begins in Hartford and New Haven, systematically denying African Americans financial benefits. An appraisal from the Homeowners Loan Corporation, a New Deal federal corporation, states the Negro families are confined to Roosevelt Street, a street in Hartford. Lenders suggest caution in the selection of loans. This process was supposed to be outlawed by the Fair Housing Act of 1968, yet it continues in Hartford for almost another 10 years.
(1940) Deed for West Hartford's developing high-ledge homes states, "No person of any race except the white race shall use or occupy any building on any lot."
1947. Elia Kazan's Best Picture-winning film, The Gentleman's Agreement, reveals that New Canaan and Darien, Connecticut are sundown towns. Towns that do not allow Jews, African Americans, and other non-whites or minority religious groups to stay after dark.
1954. The process of urban renewal, a racist zoning policy, begins in New Haven. This displaces around 60,000 African Americans and low-income individuals. They are placed in concentrated, impoverished areas and inhumane public housing.
1968. In the past 34 years, 98% of federally approved loans in Connecticut have gone to white borrowers.
1975, Ned Cole and his Revitalization Corps worked to end segregation in beaches in Connecticut. Cole and his group brought busloads of African American and Latino children to beaches in Old Lyme, Madison, and Greenwich. This was met with glares, epithets, parents pulling their children away from beaches, and Cole getting arrested for trespassing.
1980, the KKK sets up a chapter in Meriden.
2007, study of Connecticut's death penalty usage from 1973 till 2007 reveals there is strong and statistically significant evidence that minority defendants who kill whites are more likely to end up with capital sentences than comparable cases with white defendants.
2012. The FBI charges 4 East Haven police officers with conspiring to violate and violating the civil rights of members of the East Haven community, alleging that the officers intimidated, harassed, and humiliated members of the Latino community and their advocates. All 4 police officers were sentenced. After the arrests, East Haven Mayor Joseph Maturo Jr. is asked how he will protect the Latino community of his town. His response?
I might have tacos when I go home. I'm not quite sure yet.
2014,
New Haven's traffic stop analysis reveals black drivers were 2.9 times more likely to get pulled over than white drivers.
(2018) Vincent Ferreira, an East Haven police officer who testified to a federal grand jury and revealed critical information during the FBI's investigation into East Haven police officers' racist tactics, claims that after his testimony, he was ostracized by his fellow officers and intimidated by town officials. Ferreira was put on paid suspension due to an illness, which was later found out to be cancer. Town officials allegedly depleted his sick and vacation days without telling Ferreira, then 8 months later told him, days before they expired. Ferreira unfortunately dies of the cancer. The town settles the case for $500,000.
2020. Areas that were redlined in Hartford and New Haven in the 1930s are still currently segregated.
(2020) 58% of African Americans and 60% of Hispanics attend schools with minority populations of at least 75%. Only 6% of whites do.
2020. There have been over 100 anti-Semitic incidents in Connecticut over the last 3 years.
2020. 48% of whites attend schools with a minority population of less than 25%.
2020. About half of the schools in Hartford are still illegally segregated.
2020. There are at least 8 hate groups actively present in Connecticut.
'Black Lives Matter'.
Black Lives Matter.